Barrister, what the hell is going on between Tinubu and Fubara? Fubara went to have a private meeting, and of course, that a kind of ruffled Wike's feather somehow. Of course, when you have your godson, somebody you've been battling, having a private meeting with Jagaban, the Jagaban of politics, the man who knows how to manipulate. Of course, because they say na thief, na they know, na they identify thief footstep on a rock. That's exactly because Wike, he knows Tinubu. Tinubu too is both of them. They play dirty. So for if he knows quite all right for Tinubu to have a meeting, private meeting with Fubara, his political godson and enemy, that means Tinubu want to cut a deal without him, without involving Wike or whatever. Obviously, that is just it. So, Barrister, obviously, it is, again, it has to do with blackmail. Tinubu seemed to be, in my own opinion, he seemed to be using that weapon called blackmail against all these governors. And which boils down to the same Fubara as one of the governors. So I don't know this. What do you think is going on here? Obviously, in my opinion, Tinubu is trying to solidify his probably strike a deal with Fubara. At the end of the day, probably will settle both of them, and Fubara remains as governor, and the camp to PDP, to APC. Barrister, what's your thought?
Well, I think Tinubu is trying to use one stone to kill two birds. He has a problem in River State going forward in the approach to 2027. Fubara is the sitting governor. No matter how long they take, they are going to restore him to that seat. He has, on the other hand, Wike, who is his minister and a known supporter of his. What Tinubu wants to do is to use this and bring all of them into his camp without, contrary to what you say, he will not alienate Wike.
No, I'm not talking about. No, that's not what I'm not. Of course, he will not.
The reports we are hearing is that Fubara has agreed to give some concessions. So, whom do you think the concessions are to? It's not to Tinubu. The concessions are to Wike. So, and his group in River State. So, once Tinubu achieves that and Fubara gives concessions, the House of Assembly and Wike's group, Tinubu has now killed two birds with one stone. Peace will return to River State. Wike will have his structure. Fubara will be the governor. And all of them, Wike and Fubara, the PDP machinery and structure, and the APC will coalesce in favor and in support of Tinubu in 2027. That is the strategy. And it appears to be paying off again with some blackmail going behind the scenes, which we know. In the meeting, it cannot be, I think they have pushed the man to a situation where they say, okay, you are out for 6 months, we can renew it for another 6 months, by which time we are almost
at the end of the tenure.
At the end of the tenure, going into 2027, even if you come back, the problem is not solved. You are fighting a wicked faction, you are fighting the House of Assembly, you will not have strength. So why don't we sort out this issue whereby you retain some power, the other people will retain some power, and all of you jointly will support me. That is the issue that has been put before Fubara. And by and large, he does not see any support. Whom will he fall back? He was elected on the platform of the PDP, which is collapsing before his very eyes. He cannot see them coming to his aid if he stands on his own to challenge the president. He has no backup. He doesn't have people that will back him up. So it stands to reason that he has to make the compromises that he is trying to make.
Let me ask you, in your own opinion, if you were in his shoes, will you play ball? Will you go with what you just alluded to now, right now. Let's assume
But
we are right in our analysis, our thoughts.
People do things for two reasons. One, on principle. Then the other one, politics. If I am the one and I said I'm on the right path, I stand on my principle, I will insist that I cannot make compromises that will undermine my authority as governor. But if you are speaking politically of your political career going forward, remaining in that power as governor and exercising this
You
thing,
can't think both ways, Barrister. You can't eat your
you
cake and
can
have it.
think
No,
can
hold
think
on.
both ways.
No, okay. You can think both ways, yes,
as
but
a person,
you make a choice.
For me as a person, I said, and that is the reason why I have not gone to politics. I will stand on principle. Once I know I'm doing that, I was elected as governor to improve the lives of River State. If you make it impossible for me to carry on and improve the lives of the people of River State, I will not compromise with you. I will stand on my principle and insist on the right thing to be done, no matter what happens, no matter whether I'm even eventually removed as governor.
Beautiful. Honestly, that is just me. Honestly, if Fubara dares do this, if he actually does what you just analyzed, the thought you just projected, he will lose the confidence of the look. This man his fight with Wike has actually attracted support, massive, overwhelming support from the Riverians, from the Rivers people, including the elders, including the political bigwigs. They are on his side. The common man on the street, the common men and women on the street, they are on his side. If he does this and plays along with Tinubu and Wike, he will lose a lot of people's respect. I bet you, except rigging, he will never win election. Except by rigging. Honestly, you and I are the same thing. I would have gone with the principles. No matter what, even if it will take me to lose that election, come to that. The most important thing, even if it is 1 year left for me to continue as a governor, I'll make sure that 1 year I do what I'm supposed to do as a governor, do the right thing. If the people, if the powers that be, Tinubu and his cohort and Wike uses the power of the government to, especially INEC, to rig me out of the system as a governor, as a second-term governor, as potential second-term governor, then so be it. But they did the same thing in Lagos. He stood on principle. I don't know if you remember that, even though his own was not that totally. I think I heard that
I remember
he tried to plead with Tinubu or whatever. But the truth is, Ambobode stood with principle, because Tinubu, they say for a very long time, he kept warning him. Ambobode, he decided to be an independent governor, independent of Tinubu. So, and of course, he lost the president, he lost the governorship, but at least he lost with dignity and pride.
That's what we're saying. On the other hand, if you choose political survivor as against a principle stand, then you also have reasons. You say, after all, the people don't count. It's the powers that determine what will happen in the election and my survival as a politician. So if you think that way, then you go along with
if he does that,
what they are doing.
If he does that, because I've been listening to, since this fight started, Showore took a different stand on this, and his opinion is, look, he doesn't support any. Both of them are the same. They are both corrupt. They came in on a corrupt platform, and the only thing is that it's just like in my own word right now. It's just like a gang of robbers. We have the leader, which is Wike, and we have the other gang, the members of the gang. Probably after robbery, the loot now. The member of the leader of the gang decided to share the theft or the stolen the loot, or rather, at the end of the day, he's not giving others enough or whatever. Probably taking the overwhelming lion's share. So, and fight definitely will ensue. That's exactly what is happening. So, just to buttress what Sowere's point, that is exactly what. So, as a result of that, he's even happy that they are fighting, because both of them are the enemies of the state. So it's good they are fighting, and as a result of that, he will not support anyone. And if eventually Fubara does what we think he wants to do, or what probably if he goes with this deal, it will obviously give steam or oxygen to Sowere's thought that after all they are the same thing. That's just the reality. And like I said, the people will turn against him, even though people don't matter anyway when it comes to election, Nigeria's election, unfortunately.